So in theory,
you're online.
We should be streaming right now. Live streaming.
We have 3 people waiting. Still off one. Oh, there he goes. We're on.
Is it actually on?
Well, the ad's on.
Oh, we got an ad.
3 watching now.
All right. This is very confusing. We're using a different piece of software.
Welcome to our new show.
Yeah, we're.
Oh, we are live.
We're broadcasting on OBS with OBS instead of Wirecast like we normally used to use. Part of that's because this here, the new black box provided by Puget, purchased by Puget. What's wrong?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Making sure the sound you can hear. It should be stereo too. I think I got it all configured.
I hope it's stereo. I hope it's loud enough.
Yeah.
We don't know.
We don't know. So it's a new stream. It's a new scenario. It's kind of like day one.
No.
We almost found a new theme song.
Yeah, we did. We found some band that had a song called Baby Seal that almost got thrown into the mix. So yeah, so we're trying some different stuff. Like I don't know if you guys have watched the video, if you're just tuning in on the live side of it, but we recently migrated our primary machine, or one of our primary machines, from Mac to a PC. Again, that's this Puget
big
Systems.
Block in the middle of the screen.
This big hunkin' block of magic here. We made that move mostly because of technology challenges. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about Blackmagic Design's raw codec that they've come out with, and then we wanted to talk and show a little bit of this food doc. We can't go into a lot of details on it, but we wanted to show you guys a little bit because we thought it was pretty, and we can talk about some production elements because that's what we do on the show.
Sounds really low.
Sound is really low. Okay, well, let's crank it up. How's that? Is that better? Is that any better whatsoever?
Hopefully so.
I hope it is. This is a whole new process. I hope I have the mic facing the right way.
I don't know.
I think this is the right way.
I think so.
Who knows? It's
We're
a totally
smart.
different process this time. That's got to be louder. I can see that it's louder. Is it not louder? Is that better?
I think it's better.
Is it any better?
I
Anyone?
can't tell.
We don't know. New system, new problems.
Yeah.
That's what happens when we mix it up.
It is.
On the meters here, it's phenomenal.
Still says audio's low.
Still low, really?
Yeah.
That's fascinating. I don't know how to...
Getting there.
Okay. I'm at full volume.
Let's say next I'm going to turn it.
We still don't know.
Better.
Okay.
Sound is better.
Okay. It's not clipping? Because it looks like it might be clipping.
I don't see it clipping. Wait until we do the other thing, and then that's probably going to clip really loudly.
Yeah, it's probably going to blow your ears out. So let's see how this goes. Again, if you're just joining us for the first time, blah, blah, blah. We're idiots, and somehow we make a living, and, you know, whatever it is. So this whole new process is not quite as easy as the Wirecast used to be. So let's see if this train of disasters can leave the station in 3, 2, 1. Okay, so I don't know if it's... See, this is weird. I don't like this... this
New program.
New program. Hey, you know what, though? You know what it's not saying? This is a demonstration of
true.
Podcast.
This is not a demonstration. Of
No, this is definitely
demonstration of Jeff
a
and Drew not
demonstration.
knowing what we do.
Yeah, it's absolutely not what it is. All right, so like we said on the show, we're going to talk about our PC versus Mac sort of scenario, what we're dealing with. We're going to talk a little bit about Blackmagic Design Raw. We haven't touched it. We haven't played with it. We haven't tested it. So the only
Just
thing
heard about it yesterday.
Yeah, we've been working. So very little of it is going to be super data information as much as it is speculation and opinion, which is mostly what this show is when it comes to reviewing cameras or talking about that stuff. Then the last piece is we'll talk a little bit about this food doc. We'll show you guys a little clip from it.
Time to crank it up again.
Really? It's all the way back like I wish you could see this. Like it's I'm now showing that I'm in the red. It's not clipping at all. To you guys,
Apparently
that's
not.
crazy.
Clip was a good level, but we're too low.
Clip. Okay.
I don't know.
I don't know either. What happens if we click this switch? Is that any better? Now we're trying the middle switch. See if that's any better. We have no idea what's going on here. All right.
Another vert is right there in the middle, so that's a good segue.
Yeah. Audio levels between the live feed and the clip needs to be a bit of a shot. No, not clipping. All right, great. That's good enough for me. Okay, so let's kind of jump into the beer thing. We haven't done this in a while. We are drinking this delicious beer from Parish Brewing. If you have a chance, they made Ghost in the Machine, which was quite delicious and not nearly as offensive as the movie.
Sure.
Is that what it was called?
That was what that was called.
Okay. So this is some kind of hoppy, hazy IPA gimmick. I mean, that just barely missed your head.
That's fine.
It was like the Matrix. Like you knew it was coming and you somehow dodged it. So anyway, that's the beer for today.
Now we're clipping.
Son of a beastie. Okay. How's that?
Now we shouldn't be clipping.
Now we can't be clipping. This new program
or unflip the last switch.
Unflip the last switch?
No, don't unflip it. Just turn it back down.
I did.
Yeah, I know. So hopefully we're not clipping.
But you should even be able to hear Jeff better now.
You should be able to hear everybody.
It's this fancy microphone.
We don't know what it is.
We found it.
We were actually told how to use it and then didn't pay attention.
Yeah, we didn't take any notes. So the PC Mac thing, you guys have seen the video. I kind of want to give an update and kind of talk through it. Jeff has yet to really put it through its paces on a grade side yet.
Yeah.
On this machine. We tested on another machine. And we haven't gone like a million miles an hour to kind of go through it. But so far I've cut part of this documentary on it, which is fairly long form content. I've cut a bunch of commercials. We've done all the basic workflow that we ask out of our post machine aside from fully finishing a project on it. And it's been fantastic. I'll give you the stats that we've had of Mac versus PC moments. In Ultra Frustration, we have now had a collective total of 3 random blue screens of doom, where you get the little sad face. And Windows users may know this. Maybe that's a normal thing. I'm used to the spinny beach ball, which is a lot less dramatically frustrating, but equally painful. Obviously, the keyboard layout on a Mac versus a PC is different, and I have probably messed up so many different edits because my hotkeys aren't the same. And yes, I know I could remap them, but I'm not going to put in the time to do that. It's just not going to happen.
You should.
I tried, and it got so confusing that only the left Alt button would work like the Mac key, and the right. It's not too much work. I'll just relearn. That's what I'm okay with.
Switch programs.
To what?
Well, we've talked about switching to the other.
Oh yeah, well there's a discussion that we may move to DaVinci full time and step away from Premiere.
We're not sure,
but that's going to be a slow migration.
That's going to be a very slow migration.
And the reason we would move to DaVinci
That'll be Melissa's
is not for the free factor. We would have the paid version, obviously, but the reason I think I might move to it is a couple of guys who I respect were talking about editorially. They felt like it was cutting like a mixture between, and Jeff said this too, in fairness, but he said it was like a mix between Avid, Final Cut 7, and kind of Premiere, which really, I'm just looking for that Avid Final Cut 7 sort of relationship. That's what I used to love, was Final Cut 7. Did mind the Avid. So we may make that move too. So the buttons are different. The adapter that we bought, so this particular machine has Thunderbolt 3. It works. We bought an adapter from Cable Matters. I talked about it in the other video. Just to give you an update, our wonderful sleds, we did a video on these a long time ago. These are Thunderbolt.
I think they're ones, actually.
Yeah, these are old. They're Thunderbolt sleds, and they were amazing because you could get these little hard drives. You used to get them real cheap, and suddenly you had a portable dock. They were great for data transfer, like on the road. But Jeff and I have enough of these sleds that we would just leave one at my desk, one at his desk, and you could just hot swap drives pretty regularly. It also was really great because it ripped the Shogun cards super fast. Yep. This one's not. This is just a caddy drive, but if we're using our Shogun or Inferno or whatever else, it would do that stuff really well. And it does not work with the Windows machine. It immediately gives me a blue screen, and I'm not counting those blue screens because that was multiple. But immediately, for some reason, Thunderbolt 3 on the PC does not like that adapter plus that sled for whatever reason. It says it's not approved, and as soon as you connect it, it breaks. We had tested once before and it worked, but it doesn't work now, so I have no idea what the deal is. Post-it note. It was actually the password to get into this computer.
Oh, that's cool.
In case you ever need it. It's really not hard.
I figure it probably isn't.
No.
Still can't see it, but I probably guess what it is.
It's not password.
I know it's not password.
Or boobs.
Why not boobs?
Because I read that that's like almost every dude uses boobs.
It's probably true.
That might be a big fan of boobs. Or maybe they're trying to throw people off their scent. I don't know.
Could be.
The only other thing that we noticed is, back here, yeah, it's on camera. Back here is that big boy raid. That's our 24 terabyte.
Point to the red hot.
Yeah, the red hot. That's the 24 terabyte Pegasus. And in order to make it work, because it was formatted for Mac, in order to make it work, I bought a piece of software called HFS Plus for Mac. It's a driver that allows you to read and write to Mac formatted drives. And it's worked. Again, I've been working off of it. It's been fantastic. The only downside is that's a RAID 5, and the speed I'm getting out of the discs is the read's only like 200 megs, and the write's like 70. So that's not where we want to be. So I have a theory that I'm going to have a Windows formatted RAID eventually that will just live over here, and then I will have to buy HFS Plus for Mac, which lets you read Windows drives on Macintoshes to kind of keep the thing going. So there's a lot of like juggly parts that we've run into with the process so far that have been interesting, because it's beyond just the performance. The performance is phenomenal. The video shows the best clip in the world, 1 minute and 8 seconds for 24 seconds of footage. It took 1 minute and 8 seconds to render, and then on the PC it took 21 or 22 seconds, whatever it was. It was really quick, 27 seconds, whatever it was. So there's a huge difference between those two. So anybody's looking to make the shift, I will say this: there is a lot more to it than just buying a new machine. And you know that, but I mean, there's a lot more to it from a business standpoint. Our archive system is broken now, so I have to still archive on the Mac and introduce another process to it's extra steps. So it's a question of, is our performance worth it? Yes, because I'm much happier editing than I've been in a very, very, very long time.
Well, that's what matters.
Yeah.
I'm getting blown up over here by multiple people.
Well, that's good.
Well, not really.
None of it's about this, though, is it?
No.
No.
Except for one person wishing they could drink a beer also.
Is that your wife?
Yeah.
Is she at work?
I think she's on her way.
Oh, yeah. Well, hear it. Thank you, Sarah, for replenishing these.
It's true.
By the way. It's a very good beer. Did she say she liked it?
Yeah, she liked it a lot.
Yeah, it's really good.
I think that's why she ended up helping replenish.
Oh, maybe she didn't replenish. Maybe that was for her. I'm sorry, Sarah, for drinking your beers.
No, I think it's to replenish.
For the last time, no.
That was a poorly timed for the last time now. What's happening in the chat, Ski, and we'll see what's going on over there. I see that we have Trev. I haven't seen Trev in a while. I haven't talked to Trev in a while.
I haven't seen anybody in a while.
No, that's true. We've been off the air for a very long time. We do have a podcast, by the way, to shamelessly plug in, that is not just rehashes of the show. If you go to, I don't remember, Anchor. If you go to anchor.fm/CRFTSHO, you can pick up the podcast. It is not always repeats of the show. It's not where we just take the show and drop it. We did figure out that maybe there was more value in sometimes creating some podcast content. We've been using some interviews and some other bits. So if you have a chance, drop over to anchor.fm/CRFTSHO and listen to the podcast. It's also on all your platforms. It's on iTunes, it's on Spotify, it's on Stitcher and all the other stuff. Google Play. If you just search for Craft Show, it should pull you up.
Yep.
Okay.
This will probably be the next episode, too.
And it'll probably be one of the episodes.
Even though we're saying we're not going to rehash.
No, we are going to rehash, but there's new episodes in there that aren't rehashed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One was, did we do anything to monitor calibration? Because it can be a crazy problem on Windows. We have not calibrated this computer at all yet.
Yeah, I mean, what do you mean calibrate? I don't even understand.
Using one of the calibrator programs.
Oh, for monitor?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, no, we haven't done that. I thought it was like something you have to calibrate the... I will say, like, I've talked about it before, but Puget was really good about making sure everything was set up correctly. I was having an audio issue. I wrote to them. They immediately were trying to help me address it. I have a feeling... I have these Blue Sky speakers you can see back there. I have two of those that are my edit monitors. For whatever reason, it wasn't a ground loop issue, but for whatever reason, they did not like to connect very well. So I ended up purchasing what is this thing? A Focusrite Scarlett, which is now allowing us to have proper audio streaming in. So, I mean, the volume might be low, but it's a much better process. We have a proper sort of audio interface for our audio. Finally.
Yeah.
It's not just off the GH5 gimmick.
Yeah.
So it's kind of neat. We could use a mixer. We could be fancy. We could actually both have a microphone on right now, which is what we probably should have done.
Probably. Make it easier. But
that's true.
We fixed it.
Yeah, we got this one, you know.
We have one. Yeah. Trev, no, we've just have everything
What was the
packed.
question?
If our office looks really neat, our office looks really neat. Are we getting organized?
It looks neat.
All the gear is in the truck.
Well, I will say this. I did have to clean off this desk in order to move the old computer. You notice the tower's gone. I don't know if you guys can even see it, but the iMac on a pedestal's gone. The wires have been changed around. I had to clear off this entire desk and reformat how I was going to live because this thing takes up so much space, and I don't like to put computers on the floor. So, anyway, yeah. So I essentially had to clean up the desk. On that side over there, we have a new addition. She's never here, but we have a producer that works with us named Sabrina. We've talked about her before, but she's sitting on that side of it now. Melissa got moved into Jeff's office, so they're together. So it's one of those. So thanks. I'm glad it looks a little bit better. Hopefully, it'll get even better. We'll see how that goes.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
Not really putting too much into that, though.
No, you never do.
I don't.
All right. So let's kind of talk about Blackmagic Design Raw. I'll be honest with you, I haven't spent a ton of time digging into it aside from the press release that came out. I didn't watch the 30-minute video. You guys probably already know 10 times more than I do. And for anybody just listening, it's a codec that got released basically, or is coming out. I don't think it's out yet, right? Or it is out.
It's out.
Yeah,
it's out.
From Blackmagic that allegedly they're saying is an acquisition, production, delivery codec, which they're saying it's the first of its kind. Which this is Blackmagic's typical marketing, but they're saying it's the first of their kind, and I would say there's also ProRes that does that similarly. But they do have that codec out, and the nitpickers are going to be super defensive about it, and I get it. I'm not here to bash on them this time. I'm actually excited about this. For the first time ever, I may have to eat my words regarding Blackmagic Design. If we test it and we love it, I will literally eat my words. Some way, shape, or form, I will find a way to symbologize that.
Symbologize.
And eat my words.
Okay.
If I have to do it. So the codec, again, we haven't tested. I haven't even downloaded clips. We've been super busy. Again, that's part of why this show is so frequently infrequent. But some of the details are pretty fascinating, and Jeff probably has a better grasp on it than I do. The biggest thing that I thought was interesting is that they immediately dropped Cinema DNG. And I'd read a bunch of gobbledygook back and forth, people complaining and arguing and talking about it. And I'd come across an article that listed the reason they dropped Cinema DNG is because of a patent infringement, which that could have been the best thing that ever happened to them. If this codec does what they're promising it to do, will be tremendous. But I caveat that to say Blackmagic Design, in my opinion, has always been very good at putting out information. Whether it's accurate or not doesn't matter. But they've been putting out information. They build hype like nobody else. But then a lot of times the follow through, the last 10%, the part that matters most, is where it gets on shaky ground. Whether it's delivery of a camera, whether it's the build of the camera, whether it works the way it's promised. Battery life, I hear on the Blackmagic Pocket 3000 is garbage water.
Release pushing the release.
Pushing the releases,
farther and
all
farther.
that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
That's always questionable.
That sounds like it would be a pretty good one.
It seems like if the codec's already out, it seems like, and apparently it already works in DaVinci.
It does. DaVinci just updated last night or this morning.
For a full beta? Or from a beta?
No, from 15.2 to 15.3 that has Blackmagic Raw in it.
But it's not a beta, though. It's a stable release.
Yeah, it's a stable release, supposed to be.
Oh, that's fantastic.
But again, it's Blackmagic, so I don't know what you really consider stable.
Yeah, like what's the risk point in
Yeah.
which you take, you dive into that.
For the most part, though, their betas in Resolve have been pretty stable for me.
Yeah.
I know other people that have had it crash and burn, but never really had problems on my side.
Now, from what I've seen from some of the clips, we have not processed it and played with it ourselves, but looking at the Blackmagic raw footage, again, we haven't graded it, so they might have been playing it very safe. We've learned a lot about marketing from bigger companies. Just hashtag leave it at that.
There you go.
But one of the things that I wasn't super floored by the examples. Like, I didn't see anything in the example stuff that blew me away. Again, that's looking at the test they supplied, not the craft show test, not what we would do to it internally or you might do to it if you were grading the footage or reviewing it. But I wasn't really floored by the footage that much.
I haven't been so far.
No, I mean, not from the shooting side. I'm not critiquing the DP. I'm just saying, like, there's nothing. I saw an AB, and the AB wasn't like, hot damn, I got to buy this right now. Let's sell everything we got and switch on over.
Yeah, very true.
Did you read anything else about it? Do you even know anything more about it?
Not really.
Okay.
Just what kind of hashed through right before we went live, trying to figure out how to go live.
Well, part of the reason I want to bring it up because I think it's important.
We need to.
The biggest piece of it that I find super fascinating is that if that codec delivers, it seems to be delivering very similar to Red. It looks like the way Red works. It looks like the compression ratio is a very similar system to Red, which is a great migration for my brain. I don't have to think about it. It's just, again, brain hack wise is not having to process all this extra data. I can just kind of move forward. And I guess their QO is their top of the line compression setting, and it's 3 to 1. And then I guess it moves on down the line accordingly. I don't know if it makes different
12 to 1 it looks like that,
but it's scalable,
usable. Yeah,
we believe it to be scalable and not just presets. It's not like ProRes HQ to LT to proxy or whatever. Okay. So if it's scalable, that's always a plus.
Yep.
I think it's fascinating. I if it gives us enough latitude to make it work, I'd gladly jump all over it in like 30 seconds or less. The other side of it that I'm super stoked for is the fact that the Ursa, which we have long on this show said to be Blackmagic's best camera product, the Ursa Mini Pro is getting a G2 version. Is that right? The Mini Pro?
4.6.
That alone has me interested in making a Blackmagic purchase.
Which looks like it's a bigger camera, which I like.
And I think the body changed too. I think the body is aluminum, maybe?
Yeah, from what I understand, it is. Whoa.
Just pull it. See? Mac, bro.
I know.
It's out to get you.
It is.
Macs are evil.
I was trying to just slide that there. Slide that over there. There we go.
Oh.
That's all I'm trying to do. It's not hard.
No, I get it. But yeah, the new camera looks fascinating to me. Again, we don't jump and salivate over any camera until we've had a chance to work with it. And that's kind of the next thing that is on my radar, like big time on my radar for rental and or purchase. I think it could be something that helps Jeff and I a good bit in our workflow. I've loved working on the GH5s. And it's not that I don't ever get tired of cameras because God knows we still have Reds and a Scarlet. A couple of Reds, two of them being a Scarlet.
Mm-hmm.
But I just don't, so I don't just jump around, but it would be nice if some of the features were a little more robust. I have noticed that on set lately, I will say this, on some of these jobs, we've been bringing GH5s, and on some of these jobs, one of the clients asked why I brought a DSLR, and I had to kind of explain it. That's the first time that's ever happened.
Yeah.
But we had to explain it to them, and they were cool with it, and they got it, and then they saw the footage, and they were super happy, but there was a hype issue in their own mind that we had to combat. And I think just, again, as stupid as that is, that's part of the business.
Mm-hmm.
I may tell the story about the job we lost without giving any details.
That's fun. The fun part about those people, though, is that you can bring a Inspire 2 or
a Mavic,
another small little
a Mavic too.
And they don't, they don't complain about
Yeah, that's a
the
good point.
look
That was
of
frustrating.
that.
That's a good point. So on that same job, we had a Mavic 2. We had the Inspire 2 in the car with Chris
Yeah.
Odom, our drone up guy, CRFTSHO family member. And Chris brought his Inspire, but we decided just to fly the Mavic because we were shooting a bunch of stuff inside of a warehouse. So it was internal. No reason to fly the Inspire inside that for what the delivery of this product was. And so the Mavic 2 was out, and it's just those guys were just losing their minds. They're like, "Oh, it's so cool because it's so small." It's like, well, why were you complaining about my camera 5 minutes ago? Mm-hmm. I've watched a lot of The Office, so that's what she said. But we did run into some issues on that side of it. So I do think having a little bit bigger bodied camera that the replacement value isn't as brutal as our poor buddy Scott Balcom went through. Balcom? Yeah. Crap! What is it again?
Balcom.
No one knows. No one knows how to say his name.
He'll come up real fast.
He
actually popped
No one
up
actually
on-
knows. He doesn't even know how to say his name. That's science fact.
That's not true.
If you guys aren't watching Scott's channel, it's actually maybe the most informative channel on YouTube. I think it's fascinating. Scott, Balkum.
It's Balcom.
Are you sure it's Balkum?
Yes.
It's Balcom.
Because Southern, it was Balcom.
Yeah, but now he's Balcom.
Balcom in the middle.
Oh, yes! Or I was going to say Balcom Montopoulos from Perfect Strangers. Terrible.
We are terrible.
Nothing's changed on this show. If you haven't seen us in a while, we're back to the same antics. Yeah, so I don't know what's happening in the chat game. Sure, there's been a lot of Black Magic Raw's the greatest thing ever made.
No.
Comments? No? No haters?
No. Trev giving me some information on it.
Oh, we like information.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's the Q0 and the Qs are constant quality, and then the 3-to-1, 5-to-1, stuff like that is constant bitrate.
Yeah. Okay, there we go. So now we know.
Yeah.
Now we learned. And learning is half the battle.
But is it? It actually is.
It is legit.
It really is.
So I don't know if you guys are hyped about it, but we are. We're very excited to see what this new codec does, if it lives up to the promises made. I kind of feel like Apple ProRes RAW has fallen off the radar a little bit. I think the bigger issue there was not enough products were enabled to use it. It seemed like it was very limited in what could get its hands on it, or very specific. Maybe NAB changes that. That's coming up in a couple of weeks.
NAB will change a lot of stuff.
NAB is going to change everything. It always does.
It will.
But that's when, we'll see what happens when we start getting into these quote raw codecs. All I care about is being able to deliver a great product to my client. That's the only thing that really matters.
My big
to me.
thing is the Blackmagic Raw is out, so a lot of these people, Fagan being a big one, Trev, I think, said that he had switched over to shooting Blackmagic as well. People that we know and trust that have the ability to shoot it now.
Yeah, I'd love to see non-marketed footage. So if anybody wants to send us some footage, Jeff will grade it for you. If you're smart, you send him a project. I'm just kidding. Don't do that. We won't do it. We're too busy.
Please don't.
We're upside down right now. But we would like some footage. So if you have a couple of cool clips, I'd love to see what it was when it was shot by somebody from this community versus a marketing group. Because again, hashtag, that's all I can say. We understand that a lot more than we used to. Let's talk about the food doc. So we're going to show this little clip. I can't talk a lot about the purpose, the narrative, the attachments, the people, the producers. I can't talk about any of that stuff.
Nope.
All we wanted to do was just kind of show this and use it as an example. We always like to try and give some kind of feedback or thought process behind how we approach creative problems. And so I just kind of wanted to show this, and so you guys had something to watch aside from our two dumb faces. For the podcast, here's a sponsor or something. Does that sound good? That sounds great.
That sounds fine.
I think I hit this, and I hit this, and then I hit... Wait a second. The volume's going to be terrible.
Remember that one time, it was about a year ago, where you brought in a pig and we got the small chop off the front, and we both grilled it. We're sitting there in the kitchen, both took a bite, we dropped our forks and fell in love with each other all over again.
Yeah.
It was like it was a It was a very cute date.
Yes, it was. All those texts, I just fell in love
I'm
with
glad
you
I
again.
didn't swipe left. Yeah. What's up, buddy?
There he is.
Been a minute since I've been able to get out here.
Yes, sir. How you doing?
How the kids? What's up, guys?
Good. Growing like weeds.
High five, man. You guys been shooting anything?
Hey.
What up, man? You doing all right, sweetie?
Good, how are you?
How the pigs been?
Great. Great. Growing. Building fat.
Looking good. Looking happy.
Yeah, you're gonna have better bellies out of this patch.
I met my pig farmer because my egg farmer retired, and he was really wanting to do heritage pigs. Now at the time, a lot of people wanted to do heritage pigs, but nobody wanted to get into that business. No one wanted to get into that business. You can't make any money in that business. No one will buy that because it's way more expensive. And then he just came to me one day and he was like, hey man, I was like, what's up? And he's like, can I raise pigs for you? I'm a chef that dreams a lot, and it is about as analytical as, well, it's not. So instead of going, let me think about it, how much will it be per pound? It was immediate, yeah.
I've heard things of bigger pork companies wanting to add fat to their pork, but up until then, you go to the grocery store and your pork tasted like whatever you marinated it with. Well, you marinate a hog with the feed. You don't marinate it after you kill it. So that's what we do. We season the fat. We got breeds that are they're older, slower growing, and all these breeds are on the American Livestock Conservancy list.
I think when we were doing this, we were kind of the only ones, definitely the only ones doing meat. You got guys that are producing meat and putting it on the market, and chefs are picking you up if they want to or not. You and me are the only ones that I've seen that I know of, at least in this state, that work together to come up with a superior product that we're both happy to put our name on, and we definitely have a code.
5 years ago, if you told a cattle farmer, I've got a pig that marbles like an Angus cow, they'd call you crazy. Now, they'll agree with you.
Yeah.
You cut our pigs open, you look at that fat, it looks like a steak.
Then we get our pigs going, like, what are we gonna do? How are we gonna cut this up? And I was like, well, I wanna be there when we cut them up and see how we want to butcher the first time. So I go to the processor, he cuts the first chop, and he looks at it with the end of the pork belly on there, the way that we created this chop. Just at the time, it was literally just so we could get something out of the bone. You know, when you can charge money for bone, that's good. You have to do that to be able to make any money on the thing. You have to. You're not cheating anyone. You have to. And all of a sudden, he cuts the chop and he looks at it, the way the fat's done, and he looked at me and he goes, "You are a genius." And so, I mean, people love that huge bone and the oohs and the ahs that we get that comes out. And then you've got all this, like, I don't French the bone. I leave all those tidbits of belly and things on there so you can just find little meaty bites all through it. And I think that's the one single piece of meat that tells the story where you want to come back and try the belly and try the chilaquiles and try everything. So that is the story behind the ginormous pork chop. First time I served one, I served on a baking sheet. So there was that. We didn't have money for plates then. None that were that big. We did progress from paper plates at that point, though, I will tell you that.
See, it doesn't give us a countdown, so we don't totally know when the clip's done. Like, Wirecast has a nice little countdown on it. This one,
No.
yeah. We are kind of beta testing this to see if we can. I mean, Wirecast is super expensive, or the version that we had was fairly expensive. So we have to figure out if we're going to make the transition over to Wirecast and kind of go that route.
We weren't black for long.
No. It's just a little bit of dead air. It doesn't hurt nobody.
Just a couple of seconds.
So as you can see, that's not graded. That's proofed, if you will. It's just kind of putting it together as part of the documentary we're doing. The chef is a guy named JP. He's out of Birmingham. That pork chop, that was an actual 100% Jeff's response to that pork chop.
It was.
It was one of those ones where it just caught us off guard. Camera-wise, for those that are going to ask, the content we screened was Red and GH5 mixed together.
Yeah, and GH5S.
And GH5S. So it was all three cameras kind of working together. Again, it's not been graded to balance it out. There are obvious spots where it looks like poop sandwich, but it's something that we can go back through and fix relatively easily.
Oh, we'll go back through and fix it.
By we, I mean Jeff, and by Jeff, I mean Jeff.
My beard.
Your beard, that's right. Your beard is our color. He's our actual full-time colorist. So the concept is just kind of approaching it from this way. So we had doco style footage, and that's one of those cases where we, in this particular project, it's kind of a passion project. We kept it lean, very small crew. We call it a Delta crew, but it was a Delta crew kind of working on that process, putting it together. And that's the angle in which we kept it small and simple. And so part of the challenge was making sure there's multiple plates in the show, but making sure the plates were lit well and kind of addressed and shot well. And so the challenge on that was, I think that was like a 3.5 hour, that's with shooting time too, but it was like 3.5 hours to shoot 7 plates. Is that right?
Yeah. Also at the very end of a very long day.
Oh, no, it was an 18-hour day. Then we drive up and then
start we drove up and started shooting right away.
Yeah. So it was an 18.
For a good probably 10 hours before we did the food.
Yeah. Yeah.
But doesn't matter. It's just we didn't have a whole lot of time to do it all.
Right.
And it still turned out.
It turns out nice. I think once it's graded, we've graded some of it before, and it turned out really nice. But it's the idea that taking that much time for food, for example, we've talked about it before. You do. You don't have a choice. Like if you can't rush through that. And so the food stuff for us was it was on the Dana, obviously, and so I think we flew the vintage lens is what it looked like.
We did.
The flare. So we had our vintage lens. We say that we have several of them, but our favorite one is that Minolta 50 mil.
Yep.
But a lot of that stuff, the idea is to take the time to light it. So I think we had almost every light that we brought with us, which was a good bit. We had a good bit of stuff. We didn't have the.
Could still bring more lights.
We could have brought more. We didn't have the.
We didn't have the 575.
We did not have the 575 at that point.
Yeah.
It would have been nice to have though.
Yeah, it would.
No, we did have it.
Did we?
Can't remember. We didn't. We had the 1.2 because remember it almost caught the deck on fire.
Yeah. We did have the 1.2.
And then we blew out the restaurant's power. And they couldn't find their fuses.
Yeah.
The restaurant itself is an amazing thing. It's in the back of a hair salon.
Yep.
So it's really bizarre. It's absolutely amazing food. It's super good, but it's just a really weird sort of place to find yourself telling this food story, if you will, this documentary that we're working on. Yeah. So 3.5 hours to shoot and light the food, 7 plates. So we made a station. So we lit for a station, and it's one thing that we've kind of done with a lot of food places. If we're in a single environment, we light a station and go from there. Yeah. We did shoot some other food shots. We had some other ones.
We did.
They just weren't the plates that we ended up using for this particular story. So we had extra. We just
shot a lot of different plates.
We did, but those weren't part of this initial.
They weren't.
3.5 hour scenario, and the rest of the stuff was a lot of docu pieces. I mean, you're just walking around shooting as what you can. I will say, lesson learned: if you have someone kind of like me that talks fast, like JP talks really fast, in the best way possible.
He makes you sound slow.
He does make me sound slow. He is very much a very excited, very passionate talker.
Yeah, very passionate.
And he talks fast. So if you are working on a doc and you feel like, man, this person talks fast, I guarantee you when you go to post,
it's going to be faster.
Yeah, it's going to be way faster.
So we did think that we could cut in some of those sentences.
No,
and we found out that there's no way.
No, it's taken a lot longer to cut, even though it's a passion project and it stays on the stove. It just gets moved around.
Yeah,
it's like a stew, but even though it was on there, it still required a lot more time to facilitate completion than we initially thought.
Yep. Trev was asking for the lighting for that.
Yeah, so the lighting on that particular piece is best I can remember. If this is the plate, what can they see? They can see Baby Seal Buddy.
Yeah.
All right, so if this is the plate, and your camera side, right? So I'll do everything camera side. Let's see. There's
one here.
There's a cat light over here just for a flare.
Yep.
That's all the way back here, and all it was doing was just throwing light that would hit the lens. So that if we wanted to get a lens flare on the food, we had it, and we just spun it on or off. There was a 650 was back over this way with 250, a 650 with daylight and 250 on it, which takes it down like 4 stops. So it's 4 stops down. So that 650 was pumping over this way. Above it, we had the Hive, which was set to 5600. The Hive, and it had the full spread. What is the word I'm looking for?
Super wide lens.
The lens, it had the full spread super wide lens on it, casting down over top.
Yep.
There was a bounce
over
card
top.
roughly right here with a 300 with daylight shining across into the bounce card.
Yeah.
There was a 150.
We had a 150 hair light basically for the food.
We had a 150 hair light here
Yeah.
for the food. And then I'm trying to think of the other pieces. There's grenades involved.
There are. I think there's another 150.
So I think
the
there's-
other 150 was up here too.
Yeah, there was one on this side off of the
kissing.
Dana Dolly
Yeah.
coming camera side. There was a grenade. There was one grenade either here or here. I can't remember which side of it was on. I can't pull it up, unfortunately. But
no.
there was another grenade that was daylight balanced that was going through diffusion. It was on a dimmer, so I don't know what the actual stop down was. But
Then we had another one.
and then we had what else?
We had the grenade that was down below hitting the bar.
Oh, and then we
But
had a
it's the
grenade.
underside bar that
Yep.
went completely black. So
Then we
burned
had
it
another
up slightly.
grenade lighting that. And then there was a 300 behind the bar shining into the bar. So
Yes.
all of that for that singular plate. And you're like, why did that take 3.5 hours? Well, because you set the plate, you start lighting it, and we're constantly tweaking the lights. You have to stop to dress the plate.
Dress the plate,
You look at the background, you're like, that's too dark. And then, I mean, you're literally, and there's two of us. There's a third person
There's
that
three.
we can't talk about, but
there's three of us.
there's
but
3 people involved in the process, but 2 of us are on set guys. So we're doing all that labor. Meanwhile, we're also kind of making sure that the chef is bringing out plates that were pretty because we had to turn this food
and
very
he did
quickly.
I will say they did a good job with the plating.
He did.
For the most part. It
No, no,
was
he definitely
it was
did.
pretty well.
And then we may have added.
there's some chefs that
yeah.
don't know how to plate at all.
We may have added one more light towards the back end of it, which was behind it, that was only there lighting steam. So we would have stuff come out that was so hot.
Yeah.
We didn't have a stylist. This is like down and dirty dock style. That there was a light back here somewhere, another one of these that was lower shooting up, that you would see the steam rising on some of these plates. On the pork chop, we did not have that, but on some of the other dishes, when you see the final product, you guys know we'll talk about it, but when you see the final product, there's some very beautiful shots. There might even be a few in our reel where you can see steam coming up from the food itself. So all of that lighting was just for those plates. There was no heroes involved. There was none of that kind of stuff. It was quite a insanely crazy thing. What whoops? What did I whoops?
Was the idea with all these to create constant fill from Technopilot, and then a grenade, which is a different question.
Oh, what is a grenade? Grenade is a light panel.
It's a little one by, yeah.
Yeah, it's the rectangular. We call them
Well,
grenades. That's sorry, that's
LEDs,
slang.
yeah.
LED lights. Yeah, they're old, but they work. No, it was not. It wasn't necessarily constant fill as much as it was
Not have super dramatic lighting, where like
controllable
yeah,
dramatic lighting.
yeah, that's a better.
What
way
you
of
don't
putting
want with
it.
food typically is a bunch of negative fill.
Yeah,
Darkness on food is not appealing, typically. That tomahawk pork chop, though, an
It's
amazing
dark by
thing,
itself, too.
right, is not the prettiest presentation in the world. The story behind it is more fascinating than the food.
Yeah.
Some of the other dishes we had a bulgogi that came out. I believe it's bulgogi.
it was. That was.
And that had a lot more color element
was
to
pretty.
it. We had some fried noodles that came out, and there's a beautiful Dungeness crab that comes out, all very vibrant colors.
Mm-hmm.
That's fine, and that works. You want that even, not necessarily even, but you want controllable dramatic lighting for those. And each time a plate comes out, you have to adjust the lighting. It's just a very slow process that yields a really solid result when you're done with it.
yeah, and
Especially,
then it's a slow process, but it has to be quick
yes.
when you have the steam and stuff coming in.
Yeah.
You know,
So you have to you have to
you have to-
anticipate
yeah.
what you're going to get very quickly, very efficiently.
Chris Lodds here.
Chris, what's up, dude?
Yeah, I haven't seen you in a long time, buddy. When are your shots not pretty? When both of us are in it, usually.
Yeah, there you go. That was a good answer.
I thought so.
Yeah, that's good.
Sat here and thought about it for a long time.
You just channeled
too.
a little Fox 10, former Fox 10 news anchor.
News
guy.
anchor. Yeah, I did. I've already cut this whole thing in my head.
Yeah, I see. You already got salty. We have a delightful client.
We do now.
You have to hit food with the right amounts of specular. That's right. That's
Yes.
where food is very tough. It's not just about even. You want specular control.
Yeah.
That hasn't even been graded yet. It'll be a complete
No,
different look
yeah.
when it does go through that. And I don't even want to think about the grade process, the number of masks that end up coming into play. The last time we did one, there was 12 or 14 on a thing. How many does that crab have? It has a lot.
Yeah. Probably 14.
14 different
15.
things going on
Yeah.
in DaVinci just for a crab.
Different little specular pieces. Some tracking and stuff.
And some of it's to fix issues, like if I messed up or we didn't add enough light, or we wanted more light after the fact, or whatever.
Or we accidentally pushed something, because I know there's one piece, I don't think we ever use it though. There's one dish that it was a push forward. And it might have been with the crab, actually, where it kept being pushed
crab?
too far to the side.
Yeah, it was because he was plating it. He was setting it.
Yeah,
and
then so the lighting couldn't change, so then we had
another thing
to fix it later.
Right. Another thing with food that's really awesome and helpful is to get yourself or a buddy or a friend or a grip on set, or an electrician if they need to touch the lamp. But swing the lamp in and out, or boom the lamp up and down, like just release it from the release the stick and lower it, and you end up getting kind of like a dramatic lighting effect. As dumb and analog as that sounds, it does wonders. It's really fun on set because the client can immediately see something and they get excited. You may not use it, but it's a good hack.
They do get excited.
They get very excited to see those kind of lighting things kind of come through the way of it. So hopefully that helps you if that's what you're going through. I wanted to do a whole series on food lighting. Not that we're experts, but it's so much work that if we do another piece, or if this documentary keeps going the way we want it to, then I think that's one of the things that we're going to do is make a sub channel for it where we're talking about it, or whatever happens. Whoa.
Yeah.
Thanks, Everyday. I truly appreciate the thanks, man. We really appreciate that. Everyday Dad, you are a delightful, lovely, amazing human being. You officially get a button push. That is for Everyday Dad. I don't have a yes button.
Yeah, it was a good button push.
That was actually, you got a good button push that time, so good for you. Truly appreciate it. So there's a lot of orange going on here. What's that? That's what I was meaning, the dramatic food photography.
Oh, that's all early. Yeah. I feel like it only means a couple stops difference between light and shadow.
Yeah, okay, got it.
That's true, yeah.
Have you guys ever considered the
Braun color modifiers?
I've not.
No. I've thought about doing basically the same thing. But we just haven't done anything really.
Yeah.
Sticking with what's tried and true for the amount of time that we have to do things, I guess, is the better way to do it. Would like to.
Well, we just did another spot with food in it, and the lighting on that had to be even faster. That was area lit with very specific. The other thing that we've added to the mix now that we did not have for this shoot is we found an old Source 4 ellipsoidal. And so that's Source 4, and there's two great case studies for why I think that's a really great lamp. If you can find one from like a theater that doesn't want it anymore, get it. Those have those shaping, what are they called? Shaping blades inside of it where you can actually shape the light the way you want. And so we were creating nice squares or circles, and you can hard the light the way you want it. It's got a diffuser built into it, again, because it's ellipsoidal. So having one of those is even better. So we shot some food, and it just saved us
way quicker.
It was way quicker. So we did a general bounce to bring the room up with some daylight. I wish I could show it to you guys. It's not out yet, so I can't. But we brought up the general ambience, and then we had like lots of peppers everywhere. There was pepper lights everywhere. Now, granted, it was easy because it was a little more of a top-down shot, but we were able to get away with it. The food wasn't the most perfect thing. The stuff that they chose was not necessarily what I would have used, but for the budget, it worked for what it was. It told the story, and that's what mattered, because it was a broadcast spot. It was it wasn't a food-based commercial, so to speak.
Yeah.
But again, having something like that, an ellipsoidal or something you can shape. Dados are my favorite. Those are my jam, but we can't afford those right now. That's a really specialized piece of tech that we just don't have the money for. So there's a lot of questions.
More info on food lighting and grading. Let's see. None of them are really questions. It's just
to add us.
Yeah.
Okay.
Except for Chris. He said send him a message. Got lots to talk about.
Okay. Chris, I will send you a message since we have lots to talk about.
The other thing for the Source 4, though, is it also because we changed our 2K to a 575 LED. The Source 4 made it to where we had to bring gloves back out.
Yeah, it's true.
Because that light gets hot as hell.
So that's the other thing. We've talked about it before. I'm telling you guys right now, the best investment we've made has not been, as far as like production gear, has been that Relamp is the name of the company. That LED bulb swap has been hands down the best investment we made, and certainly last year from a piece of gear wise. It's unreal to be able to shoot, get everything you need. Like we can light interviews, we can light big scenes, we can light beautiful night scenes, we can do all kinds of stuff. And when we're done, we hit the switch and we pack up and leave, meaning we get our lives back. We're not waiting for lamps to cool and going through. It is night and day. One of the best experiences I've had with a piece of gear. I'm a little shocked that more people don't talk about it. I wonder. I keep waiting for something to go wrong, like it's going to explode and blow up my house or blow up this office.
I think it's because they're just it's expensive. First, you have to have the Fresnel, and then you have to buy the piece.
I guess it's really still cheaper than buying a
it still
LED.
is, I know.
But it's pretty incredible. But I'm also from the days when light panels first came out, and what was it? The other brand, the Square brand. The light panels made of Square, but there's another Square that we used to use a lot, and the color temperatures were just whack-a-mole.
Yeah.
Like the daylight, it was either daylight had green or magenta in it. I can't remember. One of the two. Either daylight or tungsten had a bias.
Yeah.
And you could see it. It wasn't a true clean 56 or a close to a 56. It was some funky. It was awful. Now, of course, LED technology's changed greatly. So, big proponent of it now. Now I love it just from a time-saving standpoint.
Some of the real cheap ones still have the crazy.
That's why I haven't jumped on the Aperture game. I'm not slamming them. I just haven't. My faith isn't there. I need to rent one, play with it before I bought any of the Aperture stuff because I'm so scared of getting non-performance LEDs again in my life.
Also, micro ellipse is a mini Source 4. That's cool.
That's really cool.
Yeah. Techno, we didn't do an actual video on the light, but we did a mock live. Well, not mock. It was a live stream.
It was a live stream with Jeff holding the lamp almost the entire time. Yeah. We did some camera tests with it. I think it was for Genghis Khan.
I think it was for Genghis.
So it's a while back, but if you look at it, I mean, it's us playing with the lamp. You're seeing it like for the very first time. We flared it. We did all kinds of stuff with it. Maybe we'll do another more in-depth piece down the road if we ever have time again. This is rare only because we're in between client sign-off moments is where we're at.
Yeah, basically right now.
Like starting tomorrow, we're in the weeds.
Yeah, we're back in the weeds again. Epson's here. I totally missed that.
Uh-oh. Vikings!
Yeah.
I didn't throw it away.
I know. I don't know where it's at.
I kept it.
Oh, well. Vikings.
Wait. I found it.
Oh, did you? Oh, you put it. Why'd you put it back there?
It just got moved. There, Aspen. Now that you're here, Vikings. Do it the right way.
God, I'm trying to think. When did we shoot that con thing?
September, October?
It was cold. October, probably?
November, maybe.
Yeah, it's either October or November, technically.
It's whenever we burned out. Yeah. Somewhere around there. Anyway, that's kind of where we're at. That's all I got. Yeah. That's pretty much the show. We'll hang out for a few more minutes and chat and keep talking with you guys. As far as like the show goes, that's all I got. I mean, that's kind of everything that we have in play. Always open for questions. You can always hit us up, Drew@craftshow.com, Jeff@craftshow.com, Instagram @craftshow, Facebook Craft Show, and also the podcast, which is maybe a little more production focused, meaning it's more about mindset.
Yeah.
It's a little less technical than this show is, but if you are growing a business, we're passing along everything we can as fast as we can do it. If I was going to tell a quick story that was about perspective on set and the perspective relationship you have with clients. We got invited to bid on the biggest commercial we've ever been on.
Yeah.
It was large and it was an international spot. It was big. And it came down to, we got very lucky. We were very blessed. They loved our work, but it came down to us and another company out of Los Angeles. And we ended up losing to the other company, which is great. They super talented group, I'm assuming. because they lost to us. Huh? That's what she said. But in the process of that dialogue, and don't get me wrong, we were really bummed. We really wanted that a lot. Like, we were really excited about the opportunity. Just for the story. Yeah. The story was good. It was a really well-written commercial. So that's where we were super hyped.
Really good boards. Actually.
Yeah, great board. It was awesome. The whole project was all, the team that's behind it is ridiculously cool. Anyway, long story short, part of what swayed that opinion, you know, from our understanding of the way the world works is that we're still too, we still, this is, let me say it this way. This is an assumption, but that we're coming off as a little more of a smaller shop than a big shop. And so it's one of those things about presentation that maybe we're used to kind of presenting in a very informal, friendly, approachable way. And I think now maybe we need to approach some of these bigger ones in a much more robust sort of like build up.
We just lost everything.
I bet the camera died.
Might have.
Good enough.